The bell rang with an extra twang recently at the Rwanda Stock Exchange when a homegrown telecom giant joined the listing. Hello and welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda. You will be with me, Naringwa Fiona Muthoni. In today's episode, we bring you the health analysis of Rwanda Stock Exchange coupled with the most talked about listing entry in a long time. At the dawn of new economic freedom, in 2009, private and public sectors were facilitated with access to long-term capital for development with the launch of the Rwanda Stock Exchange. 12 years later, it has attracted Rwanda's biggest telecommunication company to be the 10th listed firm.
As MTN Rwanda, we still remain really excited for the prospects that the listing has presented. From an MTN Group perspective, obviously it's a fulfillment of one of the commitments that the group has made to participate more actively in the socio-economic development of our nation states, the states that we operate in. And as MTN Rwanda, we saw a huge opportunity to contribute to the deepening of the capital markets. And in as much as we listed by introduction, floating 20% of our shares that were previously held by CTL shareholders, we obviously see this as a really solid foundation of to build going into the future as well. So while the first day closed at a really good share price at $269, we're really still excited to see a lot more activity in weeks to come.
It's exciting because, first of all, it's a brand which is known everywhere on the continent and beyond. And shareholders who are going to be selling and buying shares in the company, they are going to be doing it directly. Before they were doing it through an SPV. And it's important to have visibility and into the operations of the company. So for us as a marketplace, it has added a big deal on our market capitalization. So I think actually now as we stand, it's the biggest company by market cap as we speak today.
At the core of our business is obviously connectivity and infrastructure. So during the course of the last year, something that we've continued to do also this year is an expansion of our population coverage. So closing the end of 2019, we covered about 94% of the population, a number which grew to 96% by the end of the year and projecting to close slightly above 98 this year.
A sector with immense growth potential, the telecommunication industry amounts close to 2.6% of the country's GDP. A leader in the sector, MTN Rwandacell PLC has already acquired over 6 million customers and controls 62% of the country's mobile subscriptions, with aspirations and plans to scale up their market base as well as diversify their services.
Yeah, the company has been investing in the network, order of magnitude about $25 million a year. We anticipate that we'll spend another 75 just to make sure that the network, 25 each year, to make sure the network is second to none. We like to have second to none networks. So there is sufficient resources to actually invest in the growth that we see with digital acceleration. Really around what is the digital acceleration doing for the African continent, doing for Rwanda. And we think that there is massive opportunity to accelerate growth, particularly in a post-COVID environment. I think many economies, Rwanda included, would have had an economic structure where for sure ICT services were important. Actually here in Rwanda, 23% of our service revenue actually is from fintech. So Rwanda is one of our most advanced markets across our portfolio of 21 markets in terms of the fintech evolution. So the way we see it is that we are going to be continue to be a connectivity business, but we also want to deliver services that sit on top of the connectivity. One of those services is really fintech. Now, the way we see it is fintech is a particular form of technology and financial services. We're never going to be a bank in the sense of, people often say, are you going to be a bank? No, we're not. We are in fintech. The combination of finance and technology is what we deliver. And we're actually really about driving financial inclusions, going further and beyond where banks' retail distribution footprints have allowed them to be, because we have the capillarity of distribution that gets us to every corner of every street.
And as we go into areas that are not covered, unlocking that bridge between the citizens of Rwanda and the digital world, we do see continued growth in the voice and data segments of our business. One thing that was also really interesting coming out of 2020, given the impact of COVID-19 and also the essence of us trying to participate actively in stemming the spread, is really the growth story around mobile money.
As more domestic companies improve their range of products and services, Rwanda's investment climate also observes more interest and attraction. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Muziel Ndagijimana, reiterates the importance of the listing as proof of confidence in the economy, future of capital markets, and will serve to improve the local ecosystem.
Rwanda has made good progress in improving its investment climate and is well ranked on the continent and globally in easing of doing business. The government of Rwanda will continue to improve further its business environment to support both local and foreign investment in line with its national strategy for transformation and its Vision 2050. Despite the negative impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our economy last year, 2020, our economy is recovering and is expected to grow at 5.1% this year, 2021, 7% in 2022, and at above 7.8% in the following years, 2023 and 2024. This outlook is also an opportunity for investment and private sector development in Rwanda. Particularly, Rwanda is already implementing its strategy of becoming an international financial center.
Appetite among the institutional and domestic investors is growing slowly but surely. The CEO of the Rwanda Stock Exchange digests the importance of driving up investments in the capital market as they work towards diversifying their portfolios.
Or regional, normally they come in blocks. So those people normally they come as institutional investors. So when you are an institutional investor, you invest big money, no matter what happens wherever you go. So you can't move $100,000 into a new market you don't know. Those people have a lot of money under their wing. So the domestic investors, there are many. By the way, we have more investors from local. Even our own institutional investors, they are more than the ones that come from outside. But because of the size of the economy, because of the size of the investors we get locally, they may not have the biggest bulk in terms of size, but they are more. But what we are doing as part of the capital market development with our different stakeholders, we keep pushing for more savings and creation of more institutional investors and different funds. Because those are the ones normally who do the bulk, who make the bulk of investors everywhere. So the markets normally are developed from within. So you can't expect from money to always come from outside. So, but because of our own financial culture has not been around for many years, but it's something that is being developed, and we are seeing a difference in the fixed income markets. For example, we have more and more domestic investors joining the market, but you also need more companies to join, because you see one attracts the other. The more you have, the more companies you have, the more investors you will get for sure. When the news broke out about the approvals from the regulators and the stock exchange, and people, we have seen investors how they reacted. Basically, the share price increased immediately after having seen all the information on MTN as a group. So that has propped more interest in the investing public.
As MTN Rwanda, having been listed through the SPV of CTL, there's still a lot of engagements that are currently ongoing with investors that are existing as well as potential, because you realize that with the SPV, this contact initially was done through a third party. However, with this listing directly of MTN Rwanda, a lot more engagement, a lot more visibility into the business is being provided, which should give shareholders existing and potential as well a whole lot more confidence and comfort as to the performance of the business today, which has grown in tremendous leaps and bounds the last couple of years.
This transition has surely broadened MTN Rwandacell PLC's market as well as hikes investors' potential. However, their entry into the market was clearly inspired by other factors important to the company's growth, as they entered through a way of introduction as opposed to the IPO.
Our rule normally is 25% float, but sometimes we get companies having different needs. So we are allowed to let the companies to listen to them, to hear them on need basis or case by case, to allow a few waivers here and there when they want to come to the market. So now having 20% of MTN Rwanda to be the ones to be floated instead of maybe the minimum 25, there has been different considerations. First of all, looking at the needs of the company, looking at our own legal framework, and then looking at the demand from the market side also.
MTN Rwandacell PLC has continued to grow from being a telecommunications company known for basic telephony to a digital lifestyle enabling one-stop solution shop, and this only seems to be the tip of their aspirational iceberg.
Able to capture and deliver the growth that comes with digital acceleration, the digital acceleration we spoke about. And part of that strategy is, firstly, to be able to position ourselves to support the growth that we believe is inherent on the African continent. So we believe that there is faster growth possible in Africa. So that's the first thing. And we will build the infrastructure and the services to capture that growth. The second is that we think that particularly on the infrastructure asset side, there is scope for us to really build out world-class infrastructure on the African continent. Fiber is going to become increasingly important. And we're going to find that Africa as a continent needs substantial fiber infrastructure. So we've called out as part of our strategy the creation of a Pan-African fiber business that we do more than self-provisioning for our own needs. We create an open access model. And so we talk about building the fiber railroads of Africa. So that's the one area. The second is really around fintech in driving financial inclusion. Yes, banks have done a great job in developing financial inclusion, as have insurance companies, but we think we can partner with them to actually deepen financial inclusion. And that's, that drive for building fintech is also a critical part of our strategy. And so we talk about growth, and then also the unlocking of value. But for the African continent and Rwanda, importantly as well, we think that there are massive growth opportunities that face us.
Over the last decade, Rwanda has stood out as a model state for driving business and improving the country's GDP by recognizing its sectors of growth and following through with robust economic planning. While the nation has a long way to go, MTN's listing signals yet another milestone for the country's nascent capital markets. On this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda, you're with me, Narengwa Fiena Muthoni. Thank you so much for tuning in.